Üdvözlet ismét mindenkinek! A Belső utazás Magyarország interjú sorozatát látjátok Arnold Timmermannal. Hi Arnold! We are going to move into a very difficult topic because the depression level in Hungary is very high, the suicide level actually.
The journey has been very, very successful, but at least the light and medium or mild depression, which at the moment is, one of the biggest problems in the world. And as I know from you also now in Hungary, which sometimes, if it's not looked at properly, can lead to suicide. And the problem here is that with depression and even suicidal thoughts, there's a lot of ways in which it gets looked at very much from a symptomatic level. So from a symptomatic cognitive level. And what we've been experiencing within the journey is that the depression and even the suicide thoughts are a way to keep us away from that which is unprocessed emotional pain that's been stored within the body. And because we don't know, we're not aware of it, it's not our fault, it's just something happens in life, and maybe multiple times we did not know how to deal with it. Life goes on, we go on, and then all of a sudden it starts to build up and it becomes this sort of pressure cooker, and we don't know how to deal with it other than understanding that we've got something inside of us that seems to be out of whack. And then we go to a doctor and say we don't feel the joy, we don't feel the happiness, or sometimes it's extreme from one end to the other, so very polarized. And we don't find any balance and therefore relaxation and happiness within ourselves. And then because that gets immediately medically treated instead of looking at what is the emotional, unprocessed emotional pain, then we keep putting extra lids on top of the lid that's already there. So the journey said, what if we just looked underneath that lid of depression and even the lid of suicidal thoughts and looked at what is that is stored within the body that actually wants to be released, but we just did not know how, and we weren't even aware that was stored within the body. Once we get access to that, literally depression as a lid, as a protective mechanism, just falls away by itself. We've seen this again and again. For me, for 16 years around the world, I've been blown away by what is possible. And it just means that there's hope for people. And I do mean that sincerely. There's hope for people who say, I suffer from depression. If you feel like I'm done with it, I don't want to be a victim of depression, then the journey is definitely one of the tools around the world as far as I can tell, because I'm a coach. I've got different methods in my own toolbox as well. To this day, the journey is one of the most successful methods around the world that can literally take you away from depression because it doesn't address symptoms. It addresses the root cause.
And I know that also Brendan's husband, Kevin Billett, wrote a book about depression, and because he was also in depression for many, many years.
What I know from him, I'm a friend of his, and he's told me that from the age of, early 20, he's been really suffering with what was called a genetic depression as well. So it was inherited, that was the story. And it was suicidal as well. And he was on a cocktail of drugs just to help him cope with the day. He just did not know how to deal with it anymore. He did all kinds of things. He did NLP a lot, became a master in NLP himself, trying to reframe his thoughts, trying to find a way out of the darkness. And he also knew that there was light at the end of the tunnel. He knew it was there. He just did not know how to get there. And when he was told that Brennan Bass had started this method and was starting to travel around the world, had written the book, he booked a session, a journey process session, and found that there was underneath the depression, there was a whole kind of bunch of emotional shutdown linked to all kinds of memories that were stored within his body. Once he released that, like 2 hours later, he came out, felt amazing. But what was more important was since that day, the depression just fell away from him. And literally he could not take the medication. He literally tried it because it was, he was used to it. So he kept going with it and the body just literally, expelled of it. So he threw up and the medication came out. I was like, okay, this does not work for me anymore. The body does not need this anymore. And since that day, he knew the journey just literally cut through the whole pattern, because this is how he names it as well, the pattern of depression. It's a stress pattern of the body's system in a way. The body says, I cannot deal with this pain anymore. And therefore it goes, because that's been trying to kind of deal with it for so long, the only coping mechanism is like a shutdown, is like a depression. And with that, once you get access to the root cause of that, then you clear it out, that is no longer needed. So that pattern literally changes or even falls away. And that's how he experienced it. Yeah.
Yeah. His book is actually now, as we speak, is being translated into Hungarian, or getting translated. So we will continue our interview very soon. Kedves nézőink, hamarosan folytatjuk a beszélgetést Arnold Timmermannal, aki egyébként hamarosan Magyarországra érkezik.